Exactly what kind of work do you do here?
I do genetic research.
Is this dog an innocent victim of the billion-dollar vivisection industry? And this shit, I can't believe how attached he's become to me already.
I want Max back. We're not talking about a street mutt here. We are talking about $1 million research animal.
Thank you, Max. Sweet.
See, Max is not your typical dog. He's a genetic crossbreed. Enhanced sight, hearing, strength, stamina, the ability to climb with jaguar-like agility. What I am trying to tell you is that in the right hands, Max can save thousands of lives. In the wrong hands, he can be a deadly weapon.
We're in big trouble.
He's coming apart. He is gonna see. Best friend.
I swear, they just don't make movie trailers that hype anymore. There's nothing that compares to an old 90s, 2000s movie trailer. Just think about the build up at the end of that. Boy, there was a lot of suspense before it was like man's best friend at the end of the trailer. I mean, that is something that used to make you think, oh my, I need to get to the movies immediately to watch this film because I want to see it. Now, this movie kind of bombed at the box office. It didn't do necessarily great because it wasn't a movie that, well, had a high budget. It only had a budget of about $6 million and it made about double that. So overall, successful project, I would say. Now, this was also a movie that was compared to Cujo back in the day because it was killer dog, dangerous, menacing, canine that was out there terrorizing people, right? Well, I grew up on Man's Best Friend. I didn't grow up on Cujo. And I used to tell people, I'm telling you, Cujo could not mess with Man's Best Friend. That dog, Max, from that movie was absolutely insane. First of all, tell me, which dog do you think would be more terrifying? This dog right here that looks like this is Cujo. And then tell me if you don't think this dog right here, which is Max, is scarier. Max is effing terrifying. You know how on Friday, Ice Cube's dad, John Witherspoon, was like, that's your ass, Mr. Postman?
Outrun the dog. Run. Go for the tree, Mr. Postman. Go. Huh? Give me a glass of water. It's your ass, Mr. Postman.
That movie is where that dog is from. Where he killed the mailman. Don't worry, that dog went on a massive killing spree throughout that entire film. I think that dog caught like 8 or 9 bodies. He was definitely raging throughout the neighborhood. And most of it was in the neighborhood. Very crazy concept of a movie. The dog had acidic piss. The dog was genetically altered with like all sorts of amphibians and snakes and bears and shit. But he still looked like that Rottweiler. So this is another reason why I said Cujo cannot F with this dog. Hell, just look at the cover art. This cover art is menacing. I mean, you see that dog's face on there? This is the reason why I grew up scared of these dogs growing up. I didn't ever want to be around a Rottweiler because I kept thinking that dog is either going to eat a cat or it's going to eat me. When those dogs started barking, I literally almost shit myself all the time. Either way, something was about to come out of either end of my body. I was terrified of these animals growing up. It was partially the reason why I didn't like bigger dogs. I used to have a bigger dog and then we downgraded to a Chihuahua because I was a pussy. Just thinking about how many times that Max just absolutely just ripped somebody to shreds in that movie. I mean, he ate a cat whole in the movie, swallowed it whole. Now that whole picture that you see here, the cat being eaten, this is quite wild imagery here to just look at. I mean, this is stunning. Now, I could do a whole movie breakdown of the movie Man's Best Friend in the future, and I'm telling you, I will eventually get to movie breakdowns on this channel because I truly do have a passion for movies, film, television, and breaking down what's going on in those. And I think my commentary on that might actually be much better than it is on some of the random topics that I talk about here on this channel, which if you enjoy that kind of stuff, please push it in the comments. Once again, if I have mentions, if you call me out, tell me in the comments, be like, hey man, you're missing out. Go look at your shit. Now, the main reason I even started off with this trailer, despite trying to get this thing all hyped up because of the intensity of the trailer, is just to discuss the fact that the dire wolf, an animal that's been dead apparently for over 10,000 years, is now back. We brought it back to life. We decided we're going to pull some shit directly out of Jurassic Park and we're going to revive it. That's right. This animal that you see right here in this photo is exactly what we're bringing back to life. An animal that we genetically altered to bring back to this reality. Why? These things were feared. Why would you bring back things that you feared from the past that died off, that apparently natural selection said no mas, and you said no more? We had to bring it back. We're going to bring it back probably better than ever. And that's what we always do. We have not learned from any of the movies we have watched. Everything is predicted the future. For whatever reason, we still are committed to destroying our future. But just in case you don't even believe that, let's go ahead and watch the news story.
Dire wolves, they played a pivotal role in HBO's Game of Thrones, but in real life, the animals have been extinct for 13,000 years.
Now scientists are claiming to have brought them back. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has the story.
It's a howl 13,000 years in the making. Dire wolves walking the earth for the first time since the Stone Age, thanks to a remarkable scientific breakthrough.
The dire wolf is the first de-extinct species.
Until recently, the only way to catch a glimpse of the bygone beast was to watch Game of Thrones.
The dire wolf is a sigil of your house. We were meant to have them.
But now, Texas-based Colossal Biosciences has recreated the canines by implanting fossilized genes into the gray wolf.
That's funny. I feel like I've heard that somewhere before.
We used the complete DNA of a frog to fill in the holes and complete the code. And now we can make a baby dinosaur.
We've taken a gray wolf genome, a gray wolf cell, which is already genetically 99.5% identical to dire wolves, and we've edited those cells at multiple places in its DNA sequence to contain the dire wolf version of the DNA.
Colossal giving ABC News an exclusive glimpse inside their lab.
That animal looks like a dire wolf, it will behave like a dire wolf, and it is a dire wolf.
But as dire pups Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi grow, so does the controversy surrounding their existence.
Ecosystems are very delicately balanced, and nature is far more complicated than our ability as humans to understand it or to understand all the possible unforeseen consequences.
Some critics claim these new wolves aren't actually dire wolves, since they share so much of their DNA with their modern-day counterparts, while others are concerned that de-extinction efforts could have unforeseen or even deadly consequences.
The bottom line is a lot of the genome we still do not understand. And so one wants to be careful if you're mucking around with genes that there may be things we don't understand. You may produce a wolf that's twice as ferocious.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
I mean, none of this seems like a good idea. It just seems like something that is destined to go wrong. What are they going to do with these dire wolves? Are they just going to release them out to the wilderness just by themselves, just those three alone? That's not enough to like repopulate the dire wolves. So unless you plan on genetically altering another couple hundred so they can continue their species, what was the point of this experiment? Just to have them grow old and die eventually? Funny that they named them Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi. I mean, considering, I'm a huge Alien fan and all I could think about is Romulus and the fact that they had another ship on their name Remus, and everything always ties together with the same names and shit. Kind of wish everybody would like steer away from some of either like these astrological terms or whatever, or biblical terms for all these different things, because I want something a little bit more creative nowadays. But seriously, can you imagine seeing the wolf that you see in this photo out in the wilderness after it's grown a couple, like, few more feet in a couple years? You're just going off for a nice stroll in the woods to hunt off for some rabbits and shit, and next thing you know, your dog sniffs up and comes across this monstrous thing. What happens when you genetically alter these animals and something goes terribly wrong, right? Like, what if they get older? Like, they've been alive for about 7 months, so far, but what if they just all of a sudden one day just spontaneously combust because they're not natural beings? Their insides just rip up out of their chest or come flying out of their asshole and they just die tragically. What happens? Or their brain just pops. I mean, some of this heinous stuff that you see in the craziest sci-fi movies is very possible now because this is not natural. Now, the whole process of genetically splicing DNA and extracting it and creating, different beings and all sorts of different creatures and shit is interesting, but I'm telling you, it's not something that really feels good when you play it out in real life. What is the purpose? Like, are we concerned? I understand that the economy is down bad and we're on rough times, but are we on a shortage for turkeys or something like that? So like, say come up in the next couple of Thanksgivings, all of a sudden we're short on turkeys, right? Somebody's going out there to hunt some and we're like, hey, we need to go ahead and engineer some more turkeys for people to have for Thanksgiving because we are on a shortage. So instead, they decided they're going to go out there and genetically engineer some new turkeys, right? But they put some bear DNA in it and some pterodactyl DNA, and all of a sudden you walk outside and you see a Therizinosaurus instead of what you need to put on your plate for dinner. That is something that you don't want to deal with. I guarantee you eventually it will get to that. Like, why are we trying to bring back dinosaurs? My whole theory about this tinfoil hat style is that really they're just trying to create an amusement park. They're trying to create a whole new exotic zoo, something that is going to be made for just the rich. The only people that are going to have money in the future are going to be the only people who are going to be able to go to this park, see all these crazy exotic creatures, these monsters that were basically developed and created straight out of Cabin in the Woods. That's what we are going to have. They're creating Jurassic Park right here in front of us, which sounds like a noble concept, but everything went wrong at Jurassic Park. It went wrong at Jurassic World when they relaunched, and it's going to go wrong here. I mean, basically you got Dr. Wu in the lab. One of the guys, I'll go ahead and call him Dr. Wu. But when I see this woman here, I see Annette Birkin. When I see this door right here, I see Umbrella Headquarters. That is what's taking place. And it's just, they just got different names in this reality. It's not Umbrella and it's not, you know, Eco Lab or whatever. No, we have an Eco Lab for real. I forgot X Corp or whatever they had. InGen. That's what it was in Jurassic World and Jurassic Park. That's not what we have. We just have something with a different name and face to it. You know, scientists are crazy, mad scientists, right? It's not going to end with just splicing and changing animals. Eventually, they're going to start creating tyrants. We're going to have Mr. X and we're going to have Nemesis walking the streets eventually, or they're going to walk into a lab one day and be like, whoa, what the F is that? And they're going to be like, oh, aren't you excited about this new strand of DNA that we created for Nemesis, the Nemesis project? Like, for reals, are we actually making that? Why would we do that? You do know how many people died at the hands of Nemesis, right? Then we're going to be over here searching for STARS members. The actual STARS members from Resident Evil are going to have to come out and save our lives, even though most of them died terribly because they couldn't even handle the basics of a zombie outbreak. Someone call Chris Redfield because we're going to need him. Somebody call Chris Pratt, Dr. Grant, whatever. We need all of these people to come back and save us, because in the sci-fi reality that we're creating for ourselves, we're not equipped with what we need to handle this shit. Crossbreeding animals in genetics is literally what led to the Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor. We are committed to our own destruction. Can't be stated enough. Is it not enough that we digitally damage our brains to the point where we create brain rot, and enough brain rot enough to kill a whole herd of elephants, that we have to create actual physical dangerous creatures for us to live amongst? Why do we have to do these things? I get advances in technology, science, and all that stuff is great, but sometimes I think we just don't know how to put the genie back in the bottle. I seriously want to see somebody put the toothpaste on the counter, smash the tube, watch it come out, and tell somebody, I want to see you put that back in that tube. And if you can, then I will believe that you will be able to have control over the situation that you're creating. It's just like that scientist was saying at the end of that news story. We don't know what we're creating. What if you're creating an animal that turns out to be 50 times more ferocious than it was meant to be in the first place? That's exactly what happened to Max and Man's Best Friend. He was on medication. Like, when he escaped the lab, that's when everybody was in danger, because they had pills for the dog back at the lab that kept him sane and from eating and killing everybody. Everybody already knew that they created a monster with this dog. And the fact that you have a dog that literally has acidic piss and can understand human conversations, you already knew you effed up. He needs his Kanye pills. He didn't have his Kanye pills, so you know what he did? He went out there and started eating everybody. That's your ass, Mr. Postman. That's why that happened. He died terribly. The postman, that, like, he was literally delivering mail. Now, he did turn out to be like a dick. Like, I've never seen first of all, what mail delivery man has mace on him? Like, I have a lot of different discrepancies about this movie. Great movie in my opinion, but there's a lot of holes. Why does he have mace? Is he getting attacked every time he goes to a different house or something like that? Is it often that somebody like aggressively gets in his face about the mail, or the fact that, you know, instead of being the repo man, they're sending them like bills and collections, and they're like, I'm not having it, so I'm about to shoot your ass. So he's got mace. Why does he have mace? And he maced the dog. And then obviously it was his ass. But why couldn't they bring back a creature that's like a little less threatening? We already have seals that are apparently so aggressive and turning into murderers out there by the sea that people are thinking we might need to end that species altogether because they're a danger to all the other animals in the sea. That's crazy. But we're bringing back an animal that's going to be put on land that's going to be dangerous to the other animals that's on land. It's already bad enough that we can't control coyotes. Then we're going to create something that's 5 times bigger than a coyote, or we're going to have a coyote the size of a freaking mammoth walking around, and we're going to have nothing that we can do to stop it. Not enough tranquilizer in the world is going to be able to put it down. But sort of like what I was talking about earlier with the intestines spilling out their booty holes and stuff like that, what happens to these animals when something just genetically malfunctions in their bodies? Well, I mean, because you obviously know when you start splicing genes and you start mixing DNA, anything can get weird. It's just like you can turn it into incest. All of a sudden, you're going to have animals and people walking around here. Like, what if we start doing this with people? Because you know that's inevitably going to happen. Then all of a sudden, we're going to have these morphed and mutated individuals looking like some crazy experiments out of the hills have eyes and shit like that. And instead, after that, you're going to end up having to take them out back and shoot them like Old Yeller. And is that what we really want to do to these creatures? Create something and inevitably we're going to have to put their lights out? I mean, is that what you want to do, just to create life, just so you're going to end it just like that? I'm pretty sure there's going to be a part of you that dies inside. Just like when Frankenstein was created, I don't think his father wanted him to die. Please leave a comment below. I really want some engagement on this video. I really want people's thoughts about this whole process. I don't care where you take it in the comments as far as like, does this lead down some other crazy rabbit holes? You can have your own conspiracy theories on this one, because this is the kind of stuff I might get semi-conspiratorial about, especially tinfoil hat type of thing. And I do have a video coming out very soon talking about the pyramids and the fact that Billy Carson might have been on to something. Shocking, I know. But anyway, I just wanted to bring this stuff to your attention, see what you thought about it. And if you had any opinions, please leave it below. And I will see you soon.